Hi, my name is Manuel Burghardt and I'm a professor of Computational Humanities at Leipzig University, and I'm also leading the digital lab at ReCentGlobe. Well, as a professor for Computational Humanities, I'm obviously interested in all aspects of digitization and computational methods, and I'm very interested in how we can use these computational methods and digital tools for disciplines such as the humanities, but also the cultural studies or social sciences, because these disciplines have very unique kinds of data and very unique data sets. The widespread effects of digitization can be felt in all areas of our daily lives, in politics, in education, and obviously also in research. This is not entirely new for some disciplines. So some disciplines, for example, natural sciences, have been using computers and computational methods for many decades for their research, but it's kind of a new thing for humanities-based disciplines, because these disciplines typically have a long tradition in interpreting only a single source or just a small collection of data with qualitative hermeneutic approaches. And they don't have a long-standing history or a culture of using computational methods. At the same time, as a result of the digitization, we have large amounts of cultural and social data available also, right? And this poses challenges for these disciplines, because suddenly they have to ask themselves the question, how can we dig through these vast amounts of digitally available data? And in literary studies, this has been called distant reading, right? So using computational methods to, well, dig your way through the masses of online texts or digitized texts. And this whole metaphor of distant reading can also be applied for, well, for many other disciplines apart from literary studies. The overall task of the digital lab is to develop strategies to use computational methods to answer genuine research questions from the humanities, the social sciences, and the cultural studies. And as the digital lab is closely associated with the ReCentGlobe, it will obviously have a focus on, well, developing methods for primarily spatial data and spatial data aspects. The digital lab plans to support researchers during their whole research process. And as you can imagine, the research process as a whole can be pretty complex, right? So we try to break it down into four main aspects, four main research aspects, for which we seek to provide digital support, digital tools, digital methods. The first aspect would be digitization and datafication of sources, which is a very important precondition for any further steps, right? Because in order to analyze data in a computational way, you first have to digitize it. And this first aspect of digitization and datafication typically includes methods such as optical character recognition and transcription of sources, or also linguistic pre-processing or automatic annotation and enriching with metadata of data. So that's the first aspect. The second aspect would be the actual analysis and exploration of digitized data. The analysis can be quantitative, statistical based, but it can also be qualitative. And for qualitative data analysis, computational support can go in the direction of visualizations and visual analytics, providing exploratory interfaces to vast amounts of research data. The third aspect will be about the actual archiving of digital data. So this would be at the end of the research process, right? Once the data has been digitized and analyzed, you might want to store it for further reuses or for being able to replicate your study. And here, one of the main goals of the digital lab is to develop strategies for, well, for a sustainable way to archive digital data so it becomes accessible and reusable by others. So these are the three main aspects along the research workflow: digitization, analysis, and archiving of data. And there's a fourth aspect that is closely associated with all of these four aspects, and this would be research data management. And that's also a huge goal of the digital lab, to provide strategies and good practices for research data management along all of these stages, from digitization to analysis to archiving. The Digital Lab is all about connecting people, bringing people together. And to simplify the types of people who come together in Digital Lab, we might think of two groups. The one group could be people who develop digital methods, computational tools themselves. And the other group could be people who have interesting research questions and interesting data sets. And the big goal of the lab is to bring these two groups of people together and to exchange their methods and their research questions. And to promote this exchange between these two groups of people, we came up with a couple of formats to connect these people. And one of these formats would be what we call project presentations. We meet once or twice a month, and people present their ongoing or their planned research projects, and we then discuss together the potential of using digital tools or digital methods in one of the stages I just introduced before. So this is the one format. The other format is for the other group of people, those who actually develop and provide digital methods and tools, and we call this format the Methods Bazar. And it's all about presenting state-of-the-art methods from machine learning or from data visualization or data modeling. And again, people look to these practitioners' talks and then discuss with them how they could use these tools for their own projects or for their own data sets. And in addition to these two formats, we have, kind of traditional workshops and tutorials where we teach interested scholars state-of-the-art methods, for example, for text analysis, for data representation, data modeling, visualization, and so on. I believe the ReCentGlobe is a one-of-a-kind facility with highly innovative research questions and also very unique data sets from different disciplines. Extending this research center with state-of-the-art methods from the field of digital humanities and computational social sciences has a very high potential for creating entirely new research paradigms in global and area studies. And to add to the field both by means of creating new insights for the actual field, but also by developing new research workflows that are appropriate for an increasingly globalized and digitized world. And I think it's also the goal and an important characteristic of the Digital Lab that it's not only a place where we develop new computational methods, but where we also critically reflect them and discuss where they have limitations and where they can provide actual benefit for the researchers.